Toroidal fields, ley lines, sacred sites inside or at the points of intersection of ley lines. So this is a presentation, part of the presentation of Michael Tellinger that explains the sound toroidal fields and the connection with the ley lines.
We crossed the galactic equator. I no longer believe that, but in any case, so the half truths and half lies being woven together here. And we need to now figure out which is true and which is no longer, which is a lie that we've been spun. This is some of the most beautiful new work, being able to actually see what a magnetic field looks like through the ferro lens. This is quite a new discovery, only about 10 years old. Now we can actually see what magnetic fields look like. This is when you look at a torus. This is what a torus magnetic field looks like. You can see the magnetic fields. Some people would call this the ley lines on the surface of the earth. You can actually see the magnetic fields. So I'm suggesting that people that are reading ley lines are actually picking up the magnetic fields that crisscross the toroidal field of our planet. And the ancients knew this. They put all the ancient sites on all these magnetic lines because their ancient structures were actually driven by these magnetic lines and these toroidal field, these magnetic lines. You know what I mean? When you look at the cone-shaped magnetic field under a ferrocel, look at this. When you take a ferrocel and you put it over a speaker, like a speaker magnet, look what it does. These beautiful cone shapes that face the middle, just like what? Just like this guy's wristwatch. Can you start seeing why I'm suggesting that these guys were using technology? It was in their wristwatches, they had the cones, all to do with magneticism and sound. We just never saw.
So we are talking about the Sumerian bas-reliefs found in Iraq that depict Anunnaki as per Sumerian tablets. Some of these bas-reliefs can be found in New York, Royal at Metropolitan Museum in New York, and others that I saw, Brooklyn Museum, New York.
Like that until we got the ferrocel given to us. And when you bring a magnet towards a ferrofluid, what does the ferrofluid do? It forms beautiful cones and just stick right out the ferrofluid. And this stuff just gets better and better. And now you start seeing how sound and magneticism plays a role in nature, in structuring the flowers and the shapes of trees, and everything around us is driven by sound and the magnetic fields that actually create the shapes around us. Are you guys getting excited yet about how this stuff works and what we've been missing? So this brings me to the ancient tools and artifacts and the Torus stones and the cone-shaped tools. Now suddenly you have a very different take on when I get excited about the.
So these are the tools. These are actually stones in form of toroid and cone that can be found, that Michael Tellinger found in South Africa, and Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto has one of them, I think. Let's continue listening.
Cone-shaped tools, and why Leedskalnin, when I was told that he was seen levitating the giant rocks with these cone-shaped tools as ice cream cones, I got extremely excited because I understood what it means, and I've been picking up these cone-shaped tools everywhere. And suddenly you realize that they play a very important role in all of human history. This is from an iron mine in England. These are cones in Egypt. They were completely ignored until I found them. cones in Australia, Mayan deity holding 2 cones, just like Leedskalnin was apparently seen. These cone-shaped hats that are found in some tribes that were used for special ceremonies. Why do wizards have hats as cones, and why are wizards' wands cone-shaped? And this gets really exciting. Dragonflies. We think of birds flying and bees. You may be aware of the fact that it's actually a scientific impossibility for bees or bumblebees to fly because their wings they can't carry that body weight. So this has been a mystery. So I'm going to bust that mystery for you, because dragonflies, just like bees and bumblebees and other insects or bugs like that, have actually hollow tubes in their wings. Those are not veins filled with blood. Those are hollow tubes that do what? They resonate. When the dragonflies buzz their wings, they don't flap them, they just bzzz, they vibrate. It sends vibrations through their wings and through those hollow tubes, and at the bottom of those hollow tubes, they got thousands of tiny cones that stick out, that send out these sound waves or Caesar beams. We're going to get to that create magnetic fields around them, and this is why they can buzz around. Viktor Grebennikov became famous I think it was in the 50s, when he studied the bugs, the wings of bugs and bees, and he was fascinated by it, and then he built what became a very famous levitation platform, and he was seen and flying this thing faster than the speed of sound on one of those. Right? And people think this is crazy. And what was it made of? It was made of bugs' wings. So when you tell people, oh, he built this out of bugs' wings, people go, what kind of nonsense is that? You're a bunch of idiots. You believe that. Well, show you, he understood how these bugs' wings worked and how they actually functioned. And that's why he could build such a device, because he thought out of the box. And this is to show you some experiments how these bugs' wings actually have levitation capacity. This is mind-blowing.
Today we're going to try to get one of these shells to hover over the other one. The original of this video is what inspired me to do this series.
Nature is fabulous. So there you have an idea how Viktor Grebennikov built his little levitation device out of bugs' wings, because he figured out how these things work. And then we get to the cone-shaped tools in the Rosicrucian Museum. Somebody emailed me today saying, hey, he went and he saw these cones in the Rosicrucian Museum.
So this one of these cones I saw at Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto.
San Jose, and they're really there. So he was surprised that I wasn't making it up. He says, I blew his mind. And yeah, and they are written, can you see cuneiform texts that actually commemorate the building of the temples in Sumer, and one of them specifically refers to the temple of Inanna. So somehow they were used, just like Leedskalnin was levitating the giant rocks of Coral Castle, they were using these to levitate those giant stones of the temples of Sumer into place. And here is our friend, Leedskalnin, Coral Castle. And he levitated those giant blocks.
This is still in Miami, Coral Castle, United States.
The biggest stone there weighs 30 tons, or maybe even more.